What's up guys? Peasant Magic here, and today I'm gonna show you my mono red Bedlam storm. So we're starting off with the land base, 19 mountains, that's it. You don't need more and you don't need less, that's just perfect. Then we're playing a playset of lightning bolt, strongest removal, and often you'll be able to kill your opponent with something like Pyromancer's Ascension and some lightning bolts, so a very strong card. Then we're playing for Gitaxian Probe. You can basically cast this card for 0 mana, paying its Phyrexian cost. Very strong card against combo decks. Have a look at target player's hand, is very relevant and a very strong card. Then we're playing for Fateless Looting. Fateless Looting helps us to set up Pass in Flames, putting cards in our graveyard to flash them back. And the flashback on itself is also very relevant. Yeah, and then we got a very important piece for our combo, Pyromancer's Ascension. Pyromancer's Ascension says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that has the same name as a card in your graveyard, you may put a crest counter on Pyromancer's Ascension. And if Pyromancer's Ascension has 2 or more quest counters, you can basically copy every instant or sorcery you're playing. Yeah, very strong. Then we got 8 rituals for Pyretic Ritual and for Desperate Ritual. They help us to cast something like Blood Moon on turn 2 or Pass in Flames on turn 4, something like that. And if you have a Pyromancer's Ascension with 2 counters on it, it just says you're gaining 6 red mana for 1 colorless and 1 red mana, and you can from there just go off, combo your opponent off, cast as many spells as you need to finish the game with Grave Shot. Yeah. Grape Shot. That's our combo kill. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and it has this ability called Storm that says when you play the spell, copy for each spell played before in this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. So we're just casting a bunch of spells in 1 turn with the help of Past in Flames and Pyromancer's Ascension to deal something like 15-20 damage to kill our opponent just with Grave Shot and a couple spells. Yeah, we then got 2 Tormenting Voice. It's pretty much the same as Fateless Looting, but it costs 1 more, and you have to discard just 1 card. And this discarding is a cost, so if it gets countered, you'll lose 2 cards. We are just playing 2 Tormenting Voice because of that. Yeah, then we got a very, very strong card that helps us to enable our Storm count, Manamorphous. It says add 2 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool and you draw 2 cards. So this card with Pyromancer's Ascension is just busted. Drawing 2 cards and gaining 4 mana is just crazy. Then we got 1 Blood Moon in the main. Yeah, we don't rely on it that much, so we're playing just 1. 1 is just fine because it wins some games on the spot. And it's just a nice card to have, but we don't need it that much. Then we got Pass in Flames, as I already mentioned. This card says each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. Yeah, the flashback is so important because all we're trying to do is to set up our graveyard to cast back everything in our graveyard within 1 turn. With the help of Pyromancer's Ascension and those rituals, we'll be able to cast a lot of spells, and then we are playing Grape Shot as our finisher. Yeah, and last up we got Bedlam Reveler in our main deck. Yeah, this is a very, very good addition to our deck because it's basically something like a treasure cruise in this deck. Bedlam Reveler says it costs 1 colorless less for each instant or sorcery card in our graveyard. It's a 3/4 with prowess, and when it enters the battlefield, we discard our hand to draw 3 cards. So we'll be able to cast Bedlam Reveler on turn 2 or 3 sometimes, and drawing 3 cards means that you just draw 3 new cards. You'll cast this as the last card. And yeah, aside from being a draw 3 cards card, this card also says 3/4 prowess is very strong, and it's a killing option, a win option itself. So then we got the sideboard to Relic of Protogenius against Dredge and Grave decks. We then got 3 Shattering Spree against artifact matchups like Affinity and Lantern Control. Then we got 2 Dragon's Claw. Dragon's Claw says whenever a player casts a red spell, you gain 1 life. So we are playing this in the mirror, or let's say against the blue-red version. And we are playing this against aggro type of decks that play a lot of red spells. Something like Burn, stuff like that. Then we got 2 more Blood Moons against those multicolored decks like Grixis, Abzan, Junk, Junt, and so on and so on. Yeah, 3 Angel of the Gods, also very important against something like Dredge, creature-based decks, Company, stuff like that. Then we got 2 Empty the Warrens. Empty the Warrens is basically our third win option. It also has Storm, and it allows us to put 2 1/1 red goblins into play for every Storm count and itself. So this is a very strong card, and we'll side it in against creature-based decks because it helps us to lock up the game, to gain some time, and be able to cast our Grapeshot for 20. And sometimes we'll just win with Empty of the Warrens. Then we got 2 Eternal Scorch. This is a very new addition. Sometimes we'll play just very slow games, so to speak, and Eternal Scorch helps us to enable a board doing some damage, and we'll just win with some lightning bolts, Pyromancer's Ascension, stuff like that, Bedlam Revelers, and siding this in with Angel of the Gods and Relic of Protogenius against Dredge often just wins the game.